What's up guys, Handish here, and today we're going to jump in with some pretty exciting Destiny 2 stuff to talk about. So we're going to speak about a new social area and a hidden room in the tower which will open up in one of the upcoming DLCs. We're also going to speak about some new things we know about Joker's Wild, new weekly quests, events and progression. We do have some pretty cool stuff to round up regarding future content, but we also have stuff to talk about regarding Niobe Labs. I've rounded up some gameplay that we now know is in this space. We're going to speak about the return of Siviks, content that we're about to unlock, and we've got a couple of game updates, as well as a new raid challenge this week to speak about. So now let's get straight into it. First up, let's talk about a new secret space in the tower. Initially, I did see a Reddit post from the real Dolphin Lord, and they actually managed to glitch into a new space in the tower. It's located pretty close to Ada 1 in the annex, but we can see that there is actually a primeval summoner, or the bank that you'd see in Gambit. There are a bunch of different screenshots that were posted here, so of course there has been a little bit of speculation, will this area open up in the future? And actually, yes, it does 100% appear that this area is going to open up in the tower, and Bungie snuck a couple of little frames here where we can see this in the annual pass vidoc. So we see a hunter walking past this area, but this time the primeval summoner is actually active, so it has that cool taken visual effect just like it does in Gambit. But we can see that this is in the tower space. You also have those red railings and the steel plates on the floor, and this was featured during the Joker's Wild section of the vidoc. Of course, the Drifter doesn't have a very permanent feeling location in the tower. Either way, the space will certainly have some significance considering it's opening up, and I'm assuming it won't be for summoning the meatball in the tower, but hey, Destiny gets more wild over time, so you never really know. So let me know your thoughts about that, what you think this new area will be used for, and you can see this through the closed off gate near the annex in the tower. But on the subject of Joker's Wild, Chris Barrett did say we'll explore the Drifter's ship, and we'll discover what's inside of that crazy rock attached to his ship. Of course, the ship is called the Relic. But in a live stream, Bungie also added, in Season of the Drifter, we're absolutely going to be exploring the backstory of Drifter, and with that, of course, there will be new spaces in Destiny, new spaces in the world that will talk to him, and you'll learn more about the Drifter as you explore those spaces. We also do know that there will be new Gambit maps, and we can see one here on Titan, but Robbie Stevens from Bungie did say, I think what's exciting about it is that it's more than just Gambit, and that's all that I'll say. But we do know that Joker's Wild is going to include some other new elements, including weekly Joker's Wild quests, and these could behave in any number of different ways, and presumably we'll get some pretty cool gear and rewards from these, but it seems pretty likely that this could actually be the story content for Joker's Wild. And if we go back to that statement, in Season of the Drifter, we'll absolutely explore the Drifter's backstory, and of course there will be new spaces, and spaces in the world that will talk to him, and you'll learn more about the Drifter as you're exploring those spaces. So the weekly quests that Bungie have put on the roadmap presumably will also feature into that. But Bungie also speak of this new Gambit evolution. More specifically, they list the new Gambit experience, but inside of the vidoc, a developer referred to this content as Pinnacle Gambit, so it does shed more light on the way that Bungie will probably approach this. It sounds very endgame, perhaps a more competitive or ranked version of Gambit, and alongside this key art, we do see the Drifter with a flaming Gambit token. But a couple of other interesting things about Season 6 include that there will be a new exotic quest for all players of Destiny 2, so this one will only require the base game unlike any of the Black Armory quests, but also we will get a new spring event for the game, and it does feature its own unique icon. I have seen a few people asking about when exactly Joker's Wild is likely to launch, and in terms of the season boundaries, this season, Season 5, is going to end on March 4th. So Bungie listed the content rollout for Black Armory between December 4th and March 4th, so if Season 5 is going to end at that point, it seems very likely that Joker's Wild will launch in the first couple of weeks in March, but we should definitely wait for official confirmation from Bungie on that one. However, during this season, as I've mentioned briefly before, we'll get a bit of a story thread which will at least connect with Joker's Wild, and this will be when we're sent out on a quest to discover the secrets of a tainted hive artifact which the Drifter believes could lead to a new weapon of sorrow. Ultimately though, it'll actually be Shin Malfur who's responsible for these strange discoveries as we embark on the draw quest for the last word. However, at the end of the quest, the Drifter is going to keep hold of a hive weapon that we uncover in this process, and there was a pretty credible leak some of you will probably remember that tells us that Thorn is very likely returning in Joker's Wild as well. So if this is true, which probably is based on recent happenings, then Thorn will indeed ultimately return to the game, and it looks like the draw quest could be the beginning of that longer story. So those are just a few things that we know about Joker's Wild right now. Of course, we shouldn't forget that Xur will also get his weekly bounties starting in Joker's Wild, and surely it's safe to assume that this will assist in the hunt for exotics, as well as rolls for exotics. But of course, we can expect plenty of news about the next content drop later this season, so be sure to let me know your thoughts about Joker's Wild below. Now though, on the subject of more current content, we'll be getting the Niobe Labs activity next week, and we've been wondering exactly what this will be. We have, however, got a pretty decent look inside of what appears to be Niobe Labs, or the Baguzia Forge, and that was in Bungie's vidoc, and of course we didn't know what we were looking at the time, but we do now. So firstly, we see these new interiors with the Black Armory aesthetic, lots of Armory tech and the locked door with the Armory crest. We also see that open up, so perhaps Niobe Labs itself will be a kind of horde activity of some sort as we work to unlock that huge door. But we also see our old friend Siviks, who you may remember from when we unlocked the Gofanon Forge. This guy's been causing no end of grief as his crew raid the Black Armory vaults in search of their technology, and with the launch of Niobe Labs, we're finally going to track Siviks down as we uncover the final forge, and hopefully we'll get some pretty neat story about Siviks in the process since he is the main enemy, despite the minimal confrontation so far. We do also see, though, what appears to be the new European Dead Zone forge on the outside here. This forge featuring Cabal enemies in the few shots that we get. This is either Niobe Labs or Boguzia itself. We know that we need to crack Niobe Labs in order to open the final forge, so we could be looking at either of them really, but we can say for sure that this is where we'll be going next week on January 8th when this quest kicks off. Bungie described Niobe Labs itself as an event, but data mines have previously suggested that it will be replayable in some way, which is also supported by the fact that we see both Fallen, but also Taken in this location. We have also seen other enemy combinations in trailers, such as Vex and Gofanon, so it looks like there could possibly be different combinations rolling out at some point, but much of the new content we're getting next week will also lead us in one way or another onto other ongoing quests, on top of granting us access to a bunch of other neat rewards which we have yet to obtain in the game. So firstly, the 3 missing exotics from Black Armory. Of course, some of these will be associated with quests as far as we know. There is the Ghost Shell, which is linked to Boguzia in some way. On top of this, though, there are some pretty cool emblems. So from left to right, we've got the Hubris of Niobe, and then the Steel of Boguzia, and finally Obsidian Dreams, which is a pretty cool emblem. This one's going to be linked to the Mysterious Box quest as far as we know. But there also appear to be some variants on the 3 puzzle emblems that we've got for the current forges. So of course, we had to put in a bunch of different puzzle codes with different Black Armory weapons to actually obtain the initial 3 emblems. And it looks like these variants will come from the Boguzia forge. And interestingly, there is some database stuff which suggests there could be some more hidden crests inside of that forge. So much like we see in Volunda, there are 3 hidden crests you can activate by getting the emblems. It looks like that's going to happen all over again inside of the new forge, and funnily enough, we can actually see a screen in this trailer footage. So presumably this is inside of Boguzia, and this screen is exactly the same as the one which is present in the Volunda forge with the other 3 crests. So it looks like we'll basically go through the same process with a bunch of different puzzles, ultimately leading to a secret message on the screen in the final forge. So that's going to be pretty cool. Finally, let's speak about Destiny 2 right now. This week is a little bit more quiet in the game. We do have new frames to craft, pretty typical reset stuff, but otherwise we can expect new stuff next week, plus the return of Bungie from holiday breaks, so no doubt the conversation will get a little bit more lively on all fronts. There is, however, a new raid challenge this week for the Scourge of the Past, and this one is the To Each Their Own challenge. Of course, you can get extra powerful gear from Hawthorne's bounty when you clear this, but also there will be a featured triumph for this in the new Blacksmith title, so it may be one that you'll want to get done. This challenge is for Insurrection Prime though, the final boss, and that's phase 2 of the boss fight in Scourge of the Past. Essentially, to complete this, each player has to destroy one of the shield generators on the boss during each phase, or every time that the shield comes off. So essentially, every single player in the team will have to be assigned to shoot one of the shield generators on the boss. There are 6 different points on the boss to take his shield down, so there will be one for each player, but it's worth noting every time that shield regenerates, you'll have to go through the same process. So essentially, if you 2-phase the boss, you would have to have each player take down 1 generator on the first phase, and then again on the second phase. However, if you 1-phase the boss, you can simply do it on the first phase. The way that we tackled this was actually to have all of our players spread out at the beginning, so we've already assigned each player to a different generator. I'm on the map right here, so I actually pick up the first relic, and because there's a timer on this that allows everyone in our team to get into position, I'm going to be shooting the generator on his left-hand side knee, so I'm already in a good spot. Once everybody's ready, I pop the relic in right here, so the boss is going to spawn in, and with Whispered Breathing, it is possible to one-shot if you're at maximum level, so basically as soon as he drops down, each of us fire our 1-shot at the generator that we need to, and that takes his shield off almost immediately. We actually ended up requiring 2 phases on this specific run, so we did have to take the shield off a second time, but we found that if you assign each player to a different generator throughout the duration of the fight, even if things aren't super smooth, you generally have enough time for every player to make sure they get their generator down. And I know I'm calling them shield generators, that's about the only thing I can imagine that they are, but I think you guys get the picture. As long as you do that during every phase, you'll complete this challenge, and of course you do get the triumph, you do get the bounty with the powerful drop, so if you're running the raid it may be worth doing. But guys, for today, that is going to summarize the video, so I hope you have enjoyed this one. Pretty interesting that we're going to get a new area added onto the annex in the tower. I guess the annex is kind of going to be the extended content part of the social space perhaps. Very curious that there will be a powered primeval summoner inside of the tower, so let me know your thoughts about that, or any of the other Joker's Wild content that we know about right now. I'll keep you posted next week with Niobe Labs, but I'd love to hear speculation on any of that stuff. But guys, as always, thank you very much for tuning into this video. If you've enjoyed enjoyed it, a like is very much appreciated below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with everything related to Destiny 2 right here. Also, check out my sponsor, Into the AM, who have some pretty awesome clothing in their store. If you like the look of any of this stuff, you can save 10% using code HOUNDISH, and the link for that will be down below. But for now, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome day.